Welcome, everyone, to the calm before the next stimulus storm. And this is what I mean. I live here in New York in the northeastern part of the United States of America. And in the winter, we have these storms called nor'easters. And I know many of you live here as well, and you know what I'm talking about. And no matter where you live, you probably have seasonable storm systems that come in. When the nor'easter is about to come in, about a week before it hits us, the media is going crazy. Everyone's talking about the storm on the horizon. Is it going to get a foot? It's going to be 2 feet, maybe 3 feet. And all of a sudden, the hype starts pumping up. But there's always this calm before the storm actually hits. It's a little quiet. No one knows what to do. And then everything goes crazy. Get the bread, get the milk, the storm's on the way, the whole deal. I know you know what I'm talking about. Right now, we're in the calm part of the next stimulus storm that is brewing next week. And this is what I mean. There's a few ingredients that we need to look for to all line up. And those ingredients, if they do line up, you are probably going to see an additional $1,400 stimulus check coming in, perhaps during Trump's administration, perhaps not. We're going to have to see how long it takes. But let me talk to you about those ingredients. Ingredient number one is occurring today, and that is the swearing in of the 117th Congress of the United States of America. That means the 116th Congress is gone. It doesn't mean everyone from the 116th Congress is gone, but some of them are. There are new individuals coming in, new blood, new thoughts, new ideas, and all the rest. And with that is going to come another push for more stimulus for the American people. The next ingredient is going to be choosing the next Speaker of the House. We know that Nancy Pelosi is the current Speaker of the House, but another one has to be chosen. Now, it could be Nancy Pelosi again. She needs to get the majority of the House to vote for her. That would be 218 people. The Democrats have a 222-person lead right now. It is probably very likely that Nancy Pelosi will be chosen as the next Speaker of the House. But here's the thing. If she's chosen again as the next Speaker of the House, that's actually good for more stimulus for the American people. Yes, we're going to have to deal with Nancy Pelosi again, and a lot of people don't want to deal with Nancy Pelosi again. But if you want more stimulus, Nancy Pelosi being in there is not a problem. However, it is possible that she will not get chosen again. Somebody else could. We don't know who that would be. But if that happens, it's going to take a little bit longer to see another push for more stimulus because they're going to have to iron out all those details in who the next Speaker of the House is going to be. Ingredient number three is the senatorial runoffs in Georgia. The election is slated to occur on January 5th. Early voting has already been occurring, but the actual election itself is on the 5th, and the results will probably come in on January 6th. If the two Democrats win, this is a game changer in the Senate. Right now, based off of the polls, and because of what Mitch McConnell did in denying a vote for the $2,000 stimulus check. Now, depending on your political leanings, you may have thought that that was a good move. In my opinion, even if you're conservative, he should have at least put it to the Senate floor. That's what they exist for, to vote on these bills. But just to block it outright because you think that you're completely right on something is absolutely ridiculous. Put it to the floor and let the people vote, and he didn't. And not only did he not do that, but he started saying weird things like it's money for the Democrats' rich friends and stuff. Now listen, I do think that there's political players out there, Democrats and Republicans, and they have agendas all over the place. But this $2,000 stimulus check, I don't know if I would have characterized it as money for the Democrats' rich friends. It didn't come off sounding good, and the fact that he wouldn't even put it to the floor for a vote actually switched up the polls quite significantly for the Democrats in Georgia. If the Democrats in Georgia win, that is going to give them the majority in the Senate, which is going to bring us to ingredient number four, and that's going to be a different majority leader besides Mitch McConnell in the Senate of the United States of America. This is what I'm talking about with the brewing of the next stimulus storm. It seems to me like the ingredients are all coming together. The 117th Congress is being sworn in. Nancy Pelosi is likely to win the next Speaker of the House. The Democrats are likely to win the senatorial runoffs from the January 5th election, and this is going to put a new majority leader in the Senate. After all of those things come together, it's just a matter of time before the House puts a new cash bill out that increases the stimulus checks. The House is going to vote on it again. They are going to pass it in a bipartisan way, like they passed it the first time. They're going to send it over to the Senate. There's going to be a new majority leader in the Senate. That person is going to put it to the floor. After a vote, it's going to get passed through, and that is going to get signed. If they can do it fast enough, by President Donald Trump, but if not, by Joe Biden. What could be a problem to this storm? If you want more stimulus, what could stop it from happening? Well, if the Democrats don't win in Georgia, if even one Republican wins in Georgia, that's going to be a halting to another stimulus check for the American people. Now, I know that does seem like a bad thing, but there are benefits to that because, yes, although I think that the Republicans should put this to the floor, and I think the Republicans should do this for the American people, there's something to be said by balancing out the power in the government. Even if they're doing things that you don't agree with, in the long run, the benefit might be better. It's like this. When the nor'easter comes in, I don't know about you, but I'm a snow guy. I love to see the snow fall. I want to see the snow coming down. I want 2 feet, 3 feet, the whole deal. And it looks beautiful. But here's the problem. After the storm is done, you have to deal with the consequences of that storm, meaning it's cleanup time. You're talking 6 hours, snow blowers, shoveling. It's just a terrible, terrible time. The back is aching, the whole deal. If these Democrats come in, yes, the stimulus is going to come through. You're probably going to get an increase of $1,400. But now you're going to have to deal with Democrats being in charge of the presidency, the House, and the Senate. Now, even if you're a Democrat listening to me, you still should have some reserve about that going on because you don't generally want one group of people with one ideological value holding the position of power in each of the areas of the government. It generally isn't good for the American people because agendas can get pushed through far too rapidly and without anyone being able to question them, and that generally doesn't turn out good for the American people. Even if you agree with their ideological values, a balance of power is almost historically better for the American people. So if you want the stimulus checks, you get the Democrats in, that's good. But you're going to have to deal with the aftermath, which is going to be one group in power of all areas of the government. Not so much the Supreme Court, obviously. That's sort of a side issue. But for me, I don't know if I want to deal with the aftermath on that. I kind of wish that the Republicans would just put this to the floor and then send out these checks to the American people, which is basically the American people just getting their money back. We've been paying taxes for decades. Those of you who are listening to this channel, many of you have been paying taxes far longer than I have. They're just giving you some of your money back during a pandemic. That's the way the Republicans should look at it. I wish they would just do that, but they're almost forcing Georgians to put Democrats in to get the stimulus checks out, but then putting us in a place of just, oh man, now we only have one group in charge, and that could ultimately lead to, things that we don't want to happen because we don't want to push things through too quickly. We want balance of power. This is just my thoughts on it. I know some people can disagree with it. That's fine. What about the money you're supposed to get from the first stimulus check? I know a lot of you listening have already gotten your $600, or at least you see it pending in your bank account. So these are the 3 places you're in right now. Number 1, you've already got it, which is amazing. That's awesome. It went through. You got your $600. Number 2, your bank account is pending the $600, or your bank sent you an email or some sort of communication that said that the stimulus check is coming through, and that's generally going to happen around the 4th or by the end of the day on the 4th. Number 3, you haven't heard any communication at all from your bank or anything like that. I will let you know I have not seen my stimulus payment yet, and it is not posting in my bank account yet. I don't see it in my bank account posting for a later date. So if you're in that position, so am I. Don't worry about it. Nothing to worry about. By the end of the day on the 4th, most of you, even in that position, will see the stimulus check hit your account. It's most likely that your bank is just not communicating well. Some banks do it better than others. By the 5th, the majority of the individuals watching this channel should have seen their stimulus checks hit their accounts, depending on how many people you're expecting to get paid for that are within your family. If you don't see it by the 5th, there may be a number of reasons why. I am going to come out with a video on the 5th of January that are going to share with you some of the reasons why you might not be seeing that money, and there might be some proactive steps that you can take in order to make sure that you do in fact see that money. Many of you, though, are not going to have to take any proactive steps because the number one reason is going to require you to do nothing. But I'm not going to tell you what that number one reason is until the 5th of January. If you want to see that episode, consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to have you come along with me. As always, I will catch all of you next time.